specialists say elderly patients in particular must be moved from A&E rapidly.
Elderly people do not do well when they're on trolleys for prolonged lengths of time. They are certainly prone to developing pressure sores and can't really cope with the environment as well.
The hospital's now launched an internal inquiry into Mr. Rogers' death, but that's not enough for his relatives. They say the findings should be made public to prevent other families suffering a similar tragic loss.
We have had a meeting with Mr. Rogers' next of kin, and we are endeavouring to answer all their questions about what took place. Clearly it is a major concern to us. We're very sorry for what happened. As soon as we've completed our investigation, we will make it available to the family.
The Department of Health has also asked to see the results of the inquiry, which could be complete by the end of the week. Helen Wright, ITN, Whipps Cross Hospital, East London.
Conservative leadership challenger Ken Clarke has hit back against Lady Thatcher. She today backed his rival Ian Duncan Smith and gave Mr. Clarke a severe handbagging. She said if elected, he would lead the party to disaster. He said that she was out of touch. Here's our political correspondent, Lauren Taylor.
For Ken Clarke, it was last stop Aylesbury tonight for another meeting with party members after a day spent hitting back at Lady Thatcher's criticisms. After calling for party unity just yesterday, her endorsement of Ian Duncan Smith today came with a stinging attack on Mr. Clarke.
It's perfectly clear in a long letter. You'll find everything.
Yesterday you talked about unity. Why have you attacked him today? In her letter to the Daily Telegraph, she wrote, "I simply do not understand how Ken could lead today's Conservative Party to anything other than disaster. He's at odds with the majority of its members on too many issues."
I don't think her intervention was either surprising or in every way unhelpful. It will focus minds on whether her agenda is the one that's really going to attract back young floating voters.
Tonight, another of the party's big beasts, Michael Heseltine, weighed in to defend Mr. Clarke, saying Lady Thatcher's attack would not help the party's image.
It's the most predictable thing that Margaret is determined to stop Ken this time, as she was last time. Last time she backed William Hague. It proved to be a disastrous election result that followed. She's doing exactly the same thing with Ian Duncan Smith.
Ian Duncan Smith welcomed her backing, but was careful not to overplay its significance.
She has given me her support, and there are great things that Lady Thatcher did, and she will be remembered for that. But my campaign is all about what we do from now on in. So we learn from the past, but we move on.
The timing of Lady Thatcher's intervention in this leadership race is clearly deliberate, just as Tory party members receive their ballot papers. But how much influence does she really have on them more than 10 years after leaving power?
We'd only hope that we have her back.
She is seen as a liability by voters, which is slightly unfortunate, but it's something of her own making.
So Lady Thatcher left her office this evening, having raised the temperature in this leadership race, but neither side can easily gauge what her impact will be this time round. Lauren Taylor, ITN.
The struggle many people have buying an average-size house was confirmed today. Figures show you need to be earning £30,000 a year in more than half the counties in the country to get the mortgage and the house you want. As Caroline Kerr explains, that makes things especially difficult for teachers, nurses and police officers.
Nathan Gulby is a 29-year-old teacher who still lives with his mum. He works in Sussex, but on £17,000 he can't afford the cheapest flat available in the area, even if he borrowed 3.5 times his salary.
Well, it's just very frustrating. I've trained for 4 years, taken a degree in that time. I've now been teaching for 2 years and I'm still nowhere near being able to afford a property.
The cost of housing means many public sector workers simply can't afford to buy. The starting salary for a police officer is more than £17,500, a teacher slightly less, a nurse just over £15,000. So where could they afford to live? The cheapest place is Middlesbrough, where a first-time buyer needs to earn £15,000 a year to buy an average-priced house. In the West Midlands, it's about £26,000. In Cheshire, it's £34,000. In the south, it's harder still. In Dorset, you need £45,000, and in Windsor, more than £79,000. Today's survey warns essential services may be at risk if police officers and other public servants can't afford a place to live in more than half the counties of England.
Well, there are real implications for communities in more affluent areas. Then it means that they can't get the services that they need. And also you end up with very unbalanced communities where you've got concentrations of very rich and very poor, but nobody in the middle.
The Housing Federation says the government should step up help for public service employees attempting to buy their first home. There is mounting evidence that the housing boom may have passed its peak, but the suggestion is that prices will level off rather than collapse. And that won't go far enough to solve the problem of affordability for thousands of key workers. Caroline Kerr, ITN, Sussex.
There's a chance tonight that Ellie James, the British teenager who's been missing for 6 days on a mountain in Borneo, may still be alive. Rescuers searching on Mount Kinabalu say they've spotted footprints that may belong to her. Back in England, her cousin says she's a determined person who would fight to survive.
She's intelligent, and she's very bright, she's very resourceful, and she should be well aware of the dangers that are there, and would be, if she is alive, then she'd be, taking, every possible step she can to remain safe.
NATO commanders are virtually certain to announce in the morning that they will commit a force of 3,500 soldiers to keep the peace in Macedonia. It'll be led by British troops who'll join the 400 already there. Juliette Bremner is in Macedonia.
Tonight, the preparations of the advanced British party are almost complete. And within the next 24 hours, the runway here at Skopje Airport is likely to see plane after plane full of paratroopers. All the signs are that NATO will officially confirm the full deployment of 3,500 troops tomorrow morning. The soldiers already here are working on the assumption that Operation Essential Harvest will go ahead. With a deadline of 30 days to collect weapons, there's no time to lose.
It takes a while to acclimatise, usually 2 to 3 weeks, but unfortunately they don't have the time to use those couple of weeks, so they just get on with it, hot and sweaty. Despite the tentative peace, the force will find a tense country. In another breach of the ceasefire, Albanian fighters were accused of destroying this Orthodox monastery. But both sides are suffering. An amateur video captures the exchange of fire that raged around the mosque in the village of Neprostino. An attack blamed on Macedonian security forces who believe it's one of the rebel army bases. These continued clashes haven't deterred NATO, whose ambassadors indicated today that they're anxious for this mission to begin, although it's still not clear how they intend to retrieve weapons in such a volatile environment. With such bitter divisions, the risks are still high, and no one's underestimating the potential danger to this multinational force. Juliette Bremner, ITN, Macedonia.
American interest rates were cut again this evening as bankers there try to keep their economy out of recession. The Federal Reserve Bank cut one of its main rates by another 0.25% to 3.5%. It's the 7th interest rate cut of the year. Here, more of our everyday life is to be filmed by closed-circuit cameras in the interests of crime fighting. The government announced today where new CCTV systems are to be set up in England and Wales. It wants more criminals to be caught on camera, then caught by the police. Here's Shuli Ghosh.
It's the early hours in Cardiff and a man is caught on camera breaking into a restaurant. He grabs 4 bottles of wine and is on his way. Another camera shows him trying to hide the bottles under his coat. At this point, he thinks he's got away with it, but actually his every movement has been tracked by CCTV, and the police soon surround him. These pictures were later used in court to help convict him. Today, the government announced nearly £80 million in funding for more cameras in England and Wales. And though it's true that Big Brother is always watching, many people seem to accept it.
It's a lot of money for the government to pay out, but I don't think you can ever put a price on safety, really.
Let's be honest, if you're doing something you're not meant to be doing anyway, you've got the right to be caught on camera doing it.
Britain now has the most extensive CCTV network in the world. There are already over 2 million cameras in the country, a figure increasing by 20% a year as new cameras appear in streets, shops and offices. We can all expect to be filmed by at least 30 different cameras every day, even more when we're driving. Some cameras, like these in Newham in East London, can do more than just record images.
Not only can CCTV cameras take pictures from many different angles, but there now exists the technology to analyse faces using the facial recognition system. This is a state-of-the-art computer program which can pick faces out from people just moving in the crowd and match them to a database so that, for example, runaways, missing persons or criminals can be identified.
Human rights campaigners say people's privacy is at stake, but police are convinced cameras can dramatically cut crime and lead to more arrests. Shuri Ghosh, ITN.
On to football now, and Leeds United beat Arsenal in a needle match at Highbury tonight, the biggest game yet of the new Premiership season. Leeds had 2 players sent off. The final score, Arsenal 1, Leeds 2. Graham Miller watched the match.
Sparks normally fly when Arsenal and Leeds meet. It was no different at Highbury tonight. The first booking took less than 10 minutes. Tony Adams almost headed Arsenal in front, but Nigel Martin earned his first half money. The England number 2 looked even sharper to keep out Sylvain Wiltord. David Seaman was less fortunate. Ian Hart's quick free kick put Leeds a goal up when the Arsenal keeper was still lining up his defensive wall. But Arsenal's complaints died down when they equalised minutes later. Ashley Cole's shot directed in by Wiltord. Highbury was happy again. Not for long though. Early in the second half, Mark Viduka showed real pace which beat Adams, and then accuracy to beat Seaman. Leeds in front for a second time. The challenges continued. Lee Bowyer got a harsh second booking and the first red card for that, while Arsenal tried for the equaliser. Super sub Bergkamp couldn't do it this time. Leeds were reduced to 9 when Danny Mills was sent off. Final score, Arsenal 1, Leeds 2. Graham Miller, ITN Sport.
Well, in other Premiership matches tonight, Bolton beat Middlesbrough 1-0 and Ipswich beat Derby 3-1. Liverpool are through the Champions League proper. They beat FC Haka 4-1. And in the second leg of the Intertoto Cup finals, Aston Villa beat Basel 4-1. They now go through to the UEFA Cup, but Newcastle don't. They drew 4-4 against Troyes. And staying with football, in a roundabout kind of a way, David Beckham and his wife Victoria are to appear on television as you have never seen them before. They're being turned into a cartoon character for a new ITV1 comedy programme, 2DTV. Nina Nanar has had a sneak preview.
We've seen them countless times posing at parties and premieres. Victoria and David Beckham, arguably Britain's most famous and fashion-conscious couple, but now prepare for their latest look, the cartoon couple in a new satirical show.
Oh, it's really sad when they don't win much.
The series 2DTV has been made by the same production team that did this to Margaret Thatcher.
Mrs. Thatcher, what do you think about development?
And perhaps any publicity is good publicity.
I can imagine people actually getting their agents to send in tapes and photos to the production companies. Oh, do me, do me.
Other couples being done include Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. And the Blairs.
Dear, has he been sick again?
Yeah. Ewan, give me the Malibu.
Though, as ever, it's the Beckhams depicted at home who are likely to grab the headlines. In the world of satirical comedy, it seems nothing is sacred, so Posh and Bex will now find themselves taking on the likes of that other double act, Tom and Jerry, in the cartoon celebrity stakes. Nina Nanar, ITN.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's headlines then. An inquiry has begun into the way an elderly man was left for 9 hours on a hospital trolley where he was eventually found dead. And Kenneth Clarke has accused Lady Thatcher of being out of touch after she said he would be a disaster as leader of the Conservative Party. And that's the news tonight. Next on ITV1, it's Paul O'Grady's America. But from all of us here, do have a very good night. Bye-bye for now.
Gas, electricity and telephone.
Hello, good evening. Straight away to deal with tonight, and it's mainly dry. Some mist and fog patches floating around as well, especially so in the southwest. Temperatures are looking mild, no lower than 13 in the south, round about the 10 mark further north. So we go into tomorrow morning, a lot of cloud around at least to begin with. We've still got that mist lurking around too. Again, especially in coastal areas in the southwest, the sun gets to work on it, burning it away. And by afternoon, it settles into a nice day. It's a mixture of sunshine as well as some patchy cloud. Later on, though, we see the skies clouding over for Northern Ireland, getting into Scotland, maybe the odd shower in the very far north as well. With our temperatures tomorrow?
In a way, yeah, but I'd like to, you know, say to them, look, I'm back one day, hopefully.